I was going to graduate. I was going to move to DC. I had my first show lined up, contract signed. I was feeling good.
Yep.
I graduated in May of 2020. I'm very firmly in the camp of do a more general education for undergrad. The overwhelming note that we got was just like, everything is reading too obvious. I mean, I would love to have my own theater company one day. But that
Let me know when you do that.
will do. At the end of the day, if you're not actually listening, then you're not gonna be believable.
What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Jordan Whitrock Show. I'm your host, Jordan Whitrock, and today we have a very special guest. It's someone who I've gotten an opportunity to look up to, took me under their wing, coming here to SCAD, and so I have a lot of love and appreciation for them. So today we just get an opportunity to dig a little bit deeper and share this conversation with you all, because I'm sure it will empower you in some way. So without further ado, let's welcome to the show, Liv Meredith.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Okay, so we met. You were like one of the first people that like, I don't know if it was necessarily a bond, but like, you know, like there's some people that you like lean towards more.
Yeah.
You know, because like when we went to that first like, hey, welcome to SCAD graduate students, then talking to people, like, I think you were someone that I connected to faster.
Yeah.
For whatever reason that was, but what was that day like for you? Was it like a crazy day and that was like the last thing you wanted to go to, or?
No, you know, I don't even remember what I was doing earlier in the day. I just remembered that I definitely wanted to be at that because, you know, there were certain people that I met that were second years last year when I was a first year that I had that same sort of, you immediately gravitate toward. But even that kind of came later on because we didn't necessarily have the same, I mean, we had the same meet and greet thing, but it wasn't as big of a space. It was like a tiny room, and so people weren't staying and like chatting as long.
Gotcha.
So those relationships just didn't really form from that.
Yeah.
And I know that, I mean, some of the second years I didn't even meet until like spring quarter.
Wow.
So, and that was true for multiple people in my class. So I knew like a lot of us wanted to make a point to get to know y'all right when you got here. And yeah, I think there was just a lot of stuff that I figured out about SCAD that I'm like, it would have been nice to know this a little bit sooner. So I was like, well, let me do my best to pass that on.
It's real, because I still think it took me the full quarter to even figure stuff out.
100%.
And then even like a couple weeks into the winter quarter, and now I feel I'm at a point where it's like, okay, I know the layout of the school,
right?
What benefits you, what doesn't, for my what I want to get out of it. But yeah, no, like if even like you guys telling us what we should and shouldn't do, or just like, you know, helping us along the way, like we still like there's still things I'm like, I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
You know, still. Which then I think just makes that fall quarter feel so long, and like this spring quarter or this winter quarter just went like this, like we're done, and it's like what?
Yeah.
Like I feel like it was just like week 5 not that long ago,
right?
Or like we should be starting to sign up our classes for, you know, spring. But
exactly, and that's the problem with it being a 2-year program kind of, and the 10-week structure is everything just flies by so fast. So by the time you feel like you've gotten an idea of what SCAD is, you're halfway done. So I'm jealous of the undergrads in that sense, because they are here for 4 years, so they have more time once they figure it out.
The only thing though is like, and like this is something we've talked about in the like a lot of recent episodes, but just like, I don't know if I would want to do undergrad here. Like I feel like we're getting so much education because every class is, you know, directed towards acting.
Right.
But like with your undergrad, you only get like one acting class, maybe a quarter, but until like your later years, you know.
Yeah.
Which I feel like you get less out of it, but I don't know.
I loved my undergrad experience, so I also I'm very firmly in the camp of do a more general education for undergrad and then specify in grad school. So I also would not want to come to SCAD for undergrad, but for a multitude of reasons.
Okay, let's go into that. So like, where did you grow up? Where are you from? You know, how did you fall in love with acting, or was it something that was just always like there, but you didn't really care about it?
Yeah. So I'm from outside of Richmond, Virginia, in the suburbs, Henrico County, shout out. But I've been acting my whole life.
Oh, really?
Literally, yeah. I think my parents put me in my first acting class when I was like 3 or 4. You know, just one of those like herding toddlers around doing a play kind of things. But my grandma was involved in the arts, and she actually was on the Chesterfield County like board to get an arts center built in Chester, which is another suburb of Richmond. And so she always pushed a lot for the arts, and she was a big proponent for me of, you know, my parents were super supportive of me doing acting, but then when it came time to go to college, they were like, yeah, but do you want to get a degree in theater? Like, will that really serve you? And my grandma was like, let the girl get a degree in theater. Like, so she was definitely like a huge inspiration for me. And actually, a couple months after she passed, they broke ground on the Perkinson Center for the Arts, and she's got her little plaque hung up in the lobby. And actually that opened right around COVID, and so they weren't doing a ton of stuff at first, but because of that, I had moved home in 2020, and I got to work there and help them like set up their lighting plots and some of the tech stuff, and that wouldn't have happened if COVID hadn't happened. So yeah.
Got you. So you then did that. I'm assuming you did it through high school, theater, all that classic stuff.
Yeah, I did. I did all sorts of like community theater and CYT. I think they're a national thing. Christian Youth Theater.
Okay.
In Richmond, and then I actually went to a visual and performing arts high school. Yeah. And so I did theater and musical theater there, and then.
Are you more musical theater, or are you more?
No, I did musical theater a lot more because CYT was like all musical theater. So I did that more growing up, but by the time it was high school, my first like focus at Henrico was theater, and then my senior year I had extra blocks, and so I did musical theater the senior year. But I definitely was like, these people are all way more talented than me when it comes to singing and dancing, so it was fun to do. And senior year of high school was definitely like, I would say, my peak for musical theater ability, because I was getting that training. And then where I went to undergrad, we didn't do musicals, so I just like lost my range, and just, you know, if you don't work the muscle, you don't keep it.
So where did you go to undergrad then?
I went to the University of South Carolina. Go Gamecocks.
Okay.
And I was in the honors college, and I double majored in theater and political science.
Okay. Wait, so political science, was that because you loved it, or just that was part of the deal with parents?
It was kind of both. It was kind of both. They definitely, I mean, I've always been an overachiever, and so I kind of figured I would double major anyway, but it definitely helped make them feel a little better that I was getting a second degree, although it's still a humanities. It's still like, you know, but yeah, my parents liked to be like, well, at least you could go to law school if you wanted to. Like, sure, keep telling yourself that.
I'm going to go to law school. I'm going to quit acting at some point and go to law school. Yeah. No, that's the same thing for me. I originally was majored in radio, TV, film, minored in theater. Nice. Just because radio, TV, film allows you to do everything in like within media. But then just did the theater thing as also, so then double majored, and then like that was like that's my fallback, and then now I'm here, so it's still a fallback.
Yeah, I mean, and not even a fallback, like actively doing
looking at that program, like that was like very, for what it offered, because I went to a smaller state school, so like what it was able to offer and provide was like incredible. To not have to go to a major school like this and drop the money that you would have to go to a school like this. Yeah. So I'm very appreciative of like the time that I spent at UWO. Titans, hoorah. But
and there's some facilities that SCAD doesn't have that I don't know if your school did, but mine definitely did. And we're talking major state school that's way more focused on football than the arts, but we still had 4 theater spaces, 2 black boxes, and then SCAD's over here without it.
Way smaller than that. Well, we had one theater. Well, okay, we had our theater acting, and then there's another building that was like music orientated. So like we had one theater, 1 black box. Was like how we are.
But still, you had a black box. That's better than SCAD.
True. Yeah, I guess they don't. Well, they kind of did. Well, because they had 3 sisters, was like a black box. Not a black box, but it was set up like it.
It was set up like it in a traditional auditorium space.
Yeah. But like on stage, which was also unique.
It was unique.
I walked in, I was like, hold up, what?
Yeah.
Are we late? Like, what's going on here?
No, it's definitely cool how they use Arnold, but it just baffles me that a school that's like focused on the arts and only the arts doesn't have more theater facilities.
I feel like that's one of those things though, like the acting department I feel like has not been a focal point though to them for a while.
I mean,
and so like now I think it is, which is awesome. That means we benefit from it.
Definitely.
So it's like, okay, let's start putting some money on this side and see what
especially
we can revamp.
they definitely invest in like the film and TV side of things, which is great. I mean, that's why I came to SCAD, because all my background was on stage.
Okay, interesting.
And so I knew there were a lot of gaps in my education of how to work in front of a camera, and so that's.
Did you always know you wanted to go to SCAD?
No.
Or
no.
Was there like other schools that were?
Yeah, well, I just did ERDAs because I knew I wanted to go to grad school. So I went to Philly and I auditioned, and SCAD was on my radar because of high school, and a lot of the visual arts, my friends in visual arts had applied to SCAD for undergrad.
Okay.
So I knew of it, but I knew of it more for that and less for acting. But I had a friend who came here for film undergrad, and so I reached out to him and was like, hey, did you like it? And he did. So when they called me back, I was like, okay, this is definitely an option. But I had other schools that I went through the process with, and I ended up picking SCAD mostly because of the film and TV.
I think from my undergrad, like only one person had first off, only one person had gone to SCAD for graduate program, and then like no one really ever made it past first time going to an ERDAS had gotten ever offered to
really?
So for me I was like, oh well, I'm probably nothing's gonna happen because you just keep this keep it going but luckily for me I lucked out and we're here. But
talent.
Yep. That's what you gotta tell yourself. No. Talent meets opportunity. And opportunities around you all the time.
That was so Midwestern of you. You said talent.
Talent. Dude, no. There was... Okay. Wild. Also, Mike is in the studio. What's up, Mike? How's it going?
What's up? It goes. Put some steak on it, as always.
Okay, wait. Mike, have you watched The Black Kings? No. Is that... The Black Klansman.
The Black Klansman.
The Black Klansman?
Love that movie.
I just
Isn't that with John David Washington?
I'm gonna be honest, I'm terrible with names.
I am also terrible with names.
The only one I know is Adam Driver's in it, right? Yeah.
I think
that's his name.
But that should answer that question. I have not seen that movie yet.
Okay. I just watched it last night and then I finished it this morning as I was doing stuff. Dang, I forgot where I was gonna go with it. No, it was gonna be really smart and really intelligent. And
I made fun of your voice. And then
the accent in it. They were in Colorado, and it was just interesting because I was like, I didn't think that's what they sounded like in Colorado. Obviously, they would have done their research, but it sounded more.
Well, are you talking about his white voice?
No, I'm talking people that lived there, the white people that lived there. It was just interesting. I was like, oh, I don't know if I bought that as the accent, but also who am I to say? It felt more Midwestern, but then Southern, which I guess if Colorado, I don't know if that lines up there. But
well, do you remember when I came up to you after Song Sung Blue and I was like, wasn't that accent so good? You were like, no.
Dude, yeah, that accent okay, if you haven't watched it, Song Sung Blue, it's about what do they call those people? Not cover band, but
tribute.
Yeah,
band.
tribute bands.
Yeah. So the same thing.
Yeah, but it's it takes place in Milwaukee or whatever. And I was like, I don't know, those accents. That accent to me is way north or more rural than Milwaukee. Milwaukee, I feel is pretty flat for the most part. You're still gonna get here because of
all
big
sounds
sports
the same
and stuff.
To me.
But, damn.
I got a question for you, Jordan.
Wisconsin.
What did you say, Mike?
I got a question for you.
Shoot.
Do you say pop or soda?
Soda. Pop's a Minnesota thing.
Is it? Because I felt like I had a buddy from Illinois, and he was also.
Don't get me wrong. It is in our area. It is within those 4 states: Michigan, Minnesota, Illinois, and Wisconsin. But it's mainly in Minnesota. I call it soda.
Minnesota pop.
Well, because even in the South they call it can I get a Coke, which is
some
a
people
soda.
do.
Some people.
Well, there's
that's a you thing, Jordan. No, I'm just kidding.
People, it's so funny how people consider me either Southern or Northern depending on where they're from because Richmond is smack dab in the middle.
Yeah.
And I will die on the hill that the Mason-Dixon line should run between, like, in Central Virginia. Because if you're talking Nova, if
Does
you're
it
talking,
go under
like,
or over?
it's actually north of that.
Okay.
So, like, Virginia is very much the South, technically.
Yeah.
But culturally, like, Southern Virginia and Northern Virginia
Are
are
so
very
different.
different.
Yeah. Which, yeah. That time in history is just, like, crazy. You know, glad we're here.
Glad we're here.
Getting better day by day, you know. Hopefully. No. Okay. So, okay. The question I was gonna ask is in what's the song? Darius Rucker does a version of it.
Wagon Wheel?
I think it's Wagon Wheel, but I don't. No.
You know Darius
no,
Rucker's
it's
a
not
Gamecock, right?
Oh, he is?
Heck yeah. Hootie and the Blowfish was formed
yeah.
at USC.
Oh, really?
Yep.
I had no idea.
Go Cox.
Is it like a big thing there, or
Yeah,
it's just
well,
more like that's part of our history?
My freshman year, he did a concert at USC.
Really?
Yeah, because it was like our first winning football season in a long time. He was like, if y'all make it to a bowl game, I will do a free concert on
That's
campus
sick.
for students, and we
Dude,
did.
sometimes
and he did.
I wish I could be like get to that level to like give back or give incentive. You know, like
My goal is like literally, I do not care about being famous when it comes to acting.
yeah.
But the one reason I would want to be like a recognizable name is to pick games on game day. That's it.
It's just okay.
Just to be the guest picker, have
Yeah.
enough clout.
Sit next to Pat. Doesn't Pat McAfee does it?
Not anymore. Oh, Pat.
No,
Yes.
Pat's still
sorry,
doing it.
Pat's
But
still
yes,
there.
but, yeah,
It was
Lee, I think it's Lee
Corso.
Lee Corso left.
Retired.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which like it's incredible he did it as long as he did.
Yeah.
And I mean, for me, that's like I think my dad was like into college football, and then as he got older and we got older, like fell away. But it's funny because like I didn't go to a big state school that like cared about sports in that way, right? But when you talk to people that come from like a D1 school or a school that's like very like we love our sport programs,
Yep.
it's interesting because it's like, oh, I'd prefer to watch college football than like whatever
NFL.
else, whatever that is.
I am not a big NFL person.
Yep.
Huge college football fan.
Is that because you experienced what it's like to go to a school where that's a big deal, or was that like your whole life?
I was kind of primed for it because my mom went to University of Florida and my dad went to Virginia Tech, so both big
Yep.
college football schools already. But then experiencing it myself definitely cemented that. But also like living in Richmond, the closest team to root for the NFL is, what are they called now? Not the Redskins. The
Washington Commanders.
The Commanders.
Commanders.
Yeah.
Right.
I guess we see where your allegiance lies. No, just kidding.
That's how much I don't know about NFL that I didn't know what they're called now.
Yeah.
Although my dad is a Green Bay fan because he was born in Two Rivers.
Yeah. I talked to him about that.
Did you actually?
Yeah, 'cause we were in line
at my show.
At your show. Jackson introduced me, and I was like, "How's it going?" And then Jackson's like, "Packer fan." And I was like, "Really?" And then he hit me with he was like, "You know who 52 is?" And I was like, "Gary," which now we just shipped him out free agency this year. But he's like, "No," and I was like, "Oh," I was like, "Well."
Like historically.
I was like, okay, are we talking historical?
Like,
and then I was like, Clay Matthews, and he's like,
you.
yup. And I was like, oh, cool.
Matthews.
Yeah,
that's
and
why.
then So, but I was like, oh, yeah. But anyway, at first I was like, oh, yeah. I was like, I don't know any other 52.
He was fully gatekeeping you.
If it's beyond that, I have no idea. So no, but it was good. Nice folks, you know, got to chat. Good stuff. But anyway, actually, since we segue into that, so you just completed your thesis.
Yes, I did.
Project for your graduate experience. You chose to do the winter quarter as your show. And do you want to talk about what was the process of choosing your show and all that, or? Yeah,
so winter quarters traditionally, when people do their thesis plays, a few people did that in the fall just to get a jump on things. Yep. But yeah, I did All Nighter by Natalie Margolin, brand new play. It was recently off Broadway, but we were the first production after that. Yeah, they did one production on Broadway or off Broadway, and then our show.
That's
so
crazy.
Yeah, It's such a fun show. It's so girly. It's about five college senior girls, and they're pulling their last all-nighter. And there's just so much drama, so much angst, so much hummus. Yep. But it was really fun. I actually didn't know I wanted to do that show. I really struggled to figure out what show I wanted to do.
I was so heartbroken because what was the show that you were possibly going to do before that?
Possibly going to do Really Really.
Yeah.
Which is a hard show to do.
It's a heavy one.
It's a heavy one. And so that was originally what I was going to do. And then some of my production team was feeling a little wary about doing it, and I was like, you know what, I'm not so married to this idea that I would rather do the show and find a new team than stick with my people and just pick a different show. Mm-hmm. So that's what we did. And actually my director Alana Hine is the one who found All Nighter. Oh. So she presented it to me, and it's funny because I read the first 20 pages or something, and I was like, I don't know, it seems like there's not really anything happening. Yeah. And then I finished reading it, and I texted her, and I was like, okay, we're doing it. Because
I mean, to be fair, watching it, at first you're like, okay, hot take for me, and this we're gonna segue back to the show or whatever, but The Breakfast Club for me is I was like, I don't care for it.
You don't like The Breakfast Club?
But at first, that's what kind of the vibe of your show for me, in the way that I looked at Breakfast Club.
Well, I'm taking that as a compliment.
Exactly. But that's what it reminded me of at the first, 10, 15 minutes. And then as you get more into, what's happening, really, then it's not for me. Then it was I was bought in. I was intrigued in what was going to happen. I was laughing and, and nervous and all that kind of stuff, too. But, yeah. But anyway, so you decide on that show. Was it a quick process? Was it was it challenging to cast, or?
So I really entrusted a lot into Alana because it's so hard. Part of the difficulty of the thesis process at SCAD is that we're expected to produce the show as well as act in it. Mm-hmm. Even though the acting is what we're actually writing the thesis on. Yeah. So I really entrusted a lot of the producerial stuff to her so that I could just focus on acting. Yeah. So she cast it, and I helped put the word out and got my people to audition, but really her spreading the word to the undergrads is how we got most of the rest of our cast. And that was kind of unique, honestly, because usually thesis shows just cast within the grad program. Mm-hmm. And I think that it was, honestly, I would say it was good for our program that we had so many undergrads in the cast, partially because we're only here for 2 years, and partially because our program is so much smaller than the undergrad program. We don't know as many people. So typically the MFA thesis shows don't have the kind of huge audiences that other shows do, but we were sold out all 3 nights, and the big part of that was because the undergrads had all their friends coming to it and everything like that, but that also resulted in more professors coming, and I was very honored by the kind of buzz that surrounded it. And I do think a lot of that was just the extra word of mouth that you get by looping the undergrads in.
Well, it comes down to how many followers you have, and it's kind of interesting because you hate that is part of it, right? But that is the industry. If it comes down to 2 people and they're exactly the same on paper, who's got more following? Who would in turn bring more people to the box office so that we make more money? It just kind of, it sucks that that's the way it is, but sometimes you have to play the game or whatever. But also your promotion for your show was fantastic. It was the best I've seen.
Thank you. Again, products. Mostly Alana, and then Lucy ran our social media. But yeah, she did Alana did a whole photo shoot for us, and those posters she created. Wow. Literally, I leaned on her for so much stuff because that's not in my wheelhouse.
And that's what I was curious. I was is that a strong suit of
No,
yours?
Not at all. So in the fall, I directed Kate's thesis. And, when it comes to me as a director, I'm a very in the room director. I'm not good at the the like lighting and sound and
Yeah.
technical, all that stuff. I'm good at like what we're doing in the room, and the acting side of things,
Yeah.
obviously, because I'm coming from an acting perspective. And so in that situation, even though Kate was the actor and I was the director, she was serving more as producer
Yeah.
because she was also good at the social media
Yeah.
thing. I mean, she was the grad lab social
Yeah.
media chair. Like, she's good at that stuff. So in that context, she was doing that, and then I was just lucky in this context that I also had someone else on the project who could cover the slack where I'm lacking.
No, I mean, at first too, like going in, it was a very minimal set. Was that something that you took liberty with, or is that what the show really calls for?
No, honestly, that was a huge part of the choosing a show.
Yeah.
I knew I wanted something that had minimal set.
Yeah.
You know, it just takes place in one location, and there's a couple of little like break off corners, but it's just one place. There's no like scene changes and stuff that you're having to do like that. And I felt like that would really help focus on the acting as well. And so that was just kind of a requirement I had when I was talking to Alana initially of like, this is what I'm looking for in a thesis show. So no, I mean, the off-Broadway show was pretty much the same. Obviously they have a bigger budget and bigger scale, so they had more of like a like built-in glass walls behind and like pillars and stuff, but essentially it was just a table.
I think one of my favorite parts in the show is when like you find out that you guys didn't get the table that you guys wanted, right? And so that's how it starts out. It's like, oh, how are we going to do this all-nighter? We're not even at the place we want to be.
It's not our table.
Exactly. And so it's like you're kind of waiting for that group to finally leave, and they leave, and it's the mad dash of grab all your shit because we got to go.
Yep.
And it was just like the running around the table to act like you're running to that table was just like so funny. And so that was one of my, but again, that's the whole minimalist, like you don't need two tables because there would be no sense to have another table there that no one's using for the most part.
And I will shout out Natalie Margolin for that, because that's written in the stage directions. It's like they land at the new table. It's definitely the same exact table.
No. But no, I thought your show was fantastic. What was your personal acting process for that show? Was that something you took? Was something that you were finding out during the process, or did you have a set like, hey, this is what I want to use going into it?
Yeah, I definitely went into it knowing that I would be using Udo Hagen's 9 questions. That was something that I've been in a couple classes with Scott Smith, and he always had us do that as our like character breakdown, scene analysis,
do you know the 9
kind of
questions
stuff.
Off the top of your head?
No.
Okay.
No. But it's a lot of biographical stuff. It's like who are you? Where are you from? You know, what did you do that morning? Stuff like that. So it's a lot of world building. And especially for a show like this where there's so many names dropped, there's so like much background stuff referenced that doesn't get expanded on. So one of the questions is like relationships. And so every single person that's mentioned in the show that isn't in the show, and even the other characters that are, I wrote out like who they were to me, and that really like specified it so much so that when you throw that name out there, it's not just some like random name that nobody picks up on because you don't even know what you're talking about. You have that relationship in the back of your mind because you've figured it out and written it down. So that was where I was coming from. But then to counterbalance all that like heady intellectual work, I also wanted to focus on some like Chekhov physical gesture kind of stuff. And I didn't quite have as much time in the rehearsal room to do that as I would have liked. But I think at the end of the day, just doing all that like intellectual homework and then remembering to let it all go, because that's where I got tripped up for a bit the week before we went into tech, and I had my committee come in, and the overwhelming note that we got was just like everything is reading too obvious. And a big part of that was just like holding too tightly onto that homework and trying to like prove that you've done it by showing it versus just knowing that you've done it and letting it go and trusting that the subtext will be there and that the audience will pick up on it and you don't have to prove anything. So
no, that was I loved the show. and it seemed to go by pretty quickly.
That's great.
Which is like, I think, the dream.
Yeah.
Whatever length your show is.
Yeah, so it was running around an hour 45 with no intermission. And we definitely had gotten the advice that if it's over an hour and a half, you need to have an intermission.
Oh, okay.
And
what was your choice not to have one then?
It just would have completely messed with the flow of the show. And also, there's so much, without revealing anything to your audience, but there's a lot to be speculated about. And so if you give that intermission and you let people have that time to talk and compare notes and be like, oh, but did you notice this? Well, I was thinking maybe this is what's happening.
Yeah.
Then you take away some of the suspense, I think.
Yeah.
But also it's just such a pace-focused show. And if you have to like start driving and then brake and then get work back up again, I think it's just much more difficult than going and keeping going.
But I can only imagine how much that then requires from you guys, the actors, to keep up that pace because you don't get a break and you don't really leave stage, maybe like once or twice.
Yeah, only one character leaves the stage until like the end.
Was that something that was challenging for you to be on stage for an hour 45?
Not really. I've done shows like that before.
Oh, okay.
So for me personally, it wasn't. I can't speak for my fellow castmates, but no, I mean, I did a production of Sense and Sensibility in undergrad where I wasn't in every scene, but I was on stage the whole time because it was one of those like where we were doing everything, and so even when you weren't in the scene actively, you were still on stage. And honestly, I think that's harder than when you're in everything, if that makes sense, because you're engaged and you're still in the groove, and so it makes it go faster for us too, like the audience.
Okay.
Because you're in it the whole time.
When you look at productions that you've done here at SCAD, does this one top the list, or is there one that you look back and you're like, oh, that one was pretty good though?
I definitely think this tops the list.
Okay.
Yeah. What else have I done at SCAD? I did a thesis short film my first year called Hope's Last Hope, or my first quarter. But then I did Cage Birds with Grad Lab. I did Much Ado About Nothing with SCAD Bards.
Yep.
And I did Great God Pan with Grad Lab.
Oh, okay.
And then I directed I&U. So I feel like I've done a good amount at SCAD, but I think Great God Pan would probably be second in terms of acting.
What's that one about? I don't think I've heard that.
It's a pretty intense play. It's like trigger warning. It's about like sexual, like childhood sexual abuse, and like a boy, I guess a man coming to his friend and saying like, hey, I found out my dad did this to me when I was a kid. He might have done it to you too.
Gotcha.
Kind of thing. And then that guy's life like turning upside down. So super intense show, but I played their caregiver, like their nanny from their childhood. So I was playing like a 70-year-old, 80-year-old woman. I was only in one scene, but I was like in a wheelchair and I had glasses, and Jules did my old age makeup, and it was just a really, really cool experience when you're in a program where you're learning so much about film and TV and playing yourself and you know, very natural roles, and then to do a 60-plus-year-old, like I would obviously never be cast in a movie playing an 80-year-old, but you can do that with theater.
I know. My first role was like the 80-year-old old man. Like that was my name, and that was the first thing I did at SCAD. That was my first role, character, and whatever. But no, it's interesting because I just feel like there's times where I'm a character, and like it can be easy, and then like you were saying, now that I'm learning all these techniques and I'm building my toolbox, which is awesome, but now I have so many tools that like I go into a thing, I'm like, oh, should I use a little bit of this, a little bit of that? But then when you come to bring it as like, hey, this is what I've done, it's like, okay, but like we don't believe you because we can tell that you're still hanging on to like your methods or the things that you use to get you to where you are. We got to let that go. And I was like, damn, you right. But no, we're in film. Mike and I are in Prosky's film class, or we just finished that. And and my whole thing that like what I've been working on is like the simple truth.
Yeah.
Of like not showing or telling, just being.
Yep.
And so to me it just feels boring. It feels like who would ever want to watch this? Because this is just like painful, like and but then it's like when I finally take the step to do that, he'll be like, that was really good, and I'm like, yeah, but I feel awful. Like this just didn't feel right, And so for our last assignment, we had a self tape of a scene because we ran out of time to do another scene, and so when I recorded it, I was like, okay, I just felt. It feels off. I feel like this is what he wants, but something feels off, and I don't know what it is. But I feel like this is the closest I've ever been to what he's asking of me to do, And so we watched them all in class, and he was like really good, and he's like, you know what was missing? And I was like, no. And or I think I asked him, I was like, what was missing? Because like it was good, but that's all it was. Like it was missing the thing that made it great. And he's like, what was missing was like. You never failed. Like, your character never failed.
Yeah.
And because I was just playing so much, like, chill, relaxed, like, in my brain, like, what is just asked of the character, to not make a big deal about it, that I never failed technically as a character.
Yeah.
In the awkward moment, like, there needs to be moments where you're like, oh, I mean, yeah, I like you.
I
mean, no, I don't
up.
like you.
That's how Jen puts it. You gotta flaw him up.
And so, but it was like, oh, that was like the light bulb went off. It's like, okay, let's go. Like, I have a good example now of, like, what not to do, but then the thing that I missed in it that would have made it so like now I can use that process to keep building because like I feel like I have no idea who I am as an actor anymore in the sense of like for camera, just because it's like like I know I've sucked my whole life, but I didn't know why, and like now I know why, but now I don't know how to get to like what makes it good. It's like that's my journey right now. It's like how do we get better? So did you have any epiphanies when you were coming here as an actor, working in film, because you said you didn't have a ton of experience before that?
Right.
Was that like a easy transition, or was that something you had to work on, obviously still working on it or whatever that is?
Yeah, definitely not an easy transition. I kind of relate to you in the sense that I felt like I wasn't doing enough on camera.
Yeah.
Because in theater, you have to reach the back of the house. Like, you need to not overact, but you need to make big enough choices to be seen. And I also am used to playing kind of character roles, like children or boys, or like very much not myself, is how I'm typically cast.
Anything but what I am.
Exactly. So then coming here and it being like, no, just literally be yourself.
Yeah.
I'm like, how is that not reality TV? How is that still acting?
Yeah.
But I think the thing that really made it click was I love the definition of acting that we came to in Prosky's class of living truthfully in imaginary circumstances or doing truthfully in imaginary circumstances. And then just listening, I think, was a really big focus for me. Also with my thesis, that I would say that's something I'm going to write about in my thesis paper as well, is like the Meisner listening. Because at the end of the day, if you're not actually listening, then you're not going to be believable. And I definitely am guilty of that, because when you're doing theater and you've heard the line 12 million times at that point, it's easy to just kind of go on autopilot mode. And so I think that that's something that film work unlocked for me.
Gotcha.
Was because you don't have rehearsal and you just do things a lot less. You have to really be listening, and because the camera picks up on everything, if your eyes are like glossed over and you're not truly in the moment and listening, it's gonna pick it up. And so I think that has really helped me as an actor on camera and off.
I wonder how like this show has like helped or hurt me in that way, because I think as someone who has like a goal to ask questions or like get to know a person or navigate the conversation. Yeah. Like there's times where it's like, yes, I'm fully in this conversation, but then you're like, okay, I know that at some point this person's going to stop talking, and what's the next thing to say?
Right.
And so you're always thinking ahead, which I think is needed for this.
Yeah.
But I wonder how that like affects me as an actor. Do I take what it is, like an example of this, or just normal conversation outside, like, do I take that and put it in my acting? So
yeah,
then
because
I'm
do
just
you do
always
that
preparing.
in real life, like when you're having like off camera, off the show, when you're having a conversation with people?
Probably.
Yeah.
Like, I would say, like, I don't think there's times where I'm just like not thinking and then fully listening and then being like, like, I feel like I'm always like, there's part of my brain that's working to like always be ready to go,
ready to say something.
Or that same thing of like, oh, I'm gonna cut you off to continue the conversation so it doesn't die, or whatever that is. That's
interesting. I think that's good to be aware of about yourself, though. Because I think that's good and bad, because it is good to be able to multitask like
for
that,
real
because
world,
you have to.
Really good.
Well, and in acting, you already have that like duality happening in your brain of you have to be aware of yourself as the actor and the mechanics of, I have to move this prop or leave, or I need to hear my cue and enter and all that stuff. But you also need to fully be in character and in
which is like the impossible task that you must complete perfectly.
Exactly.
It's funny, like, I think coming here to SCAD and like the amazing opportunities that they offer and it's just like fantastic. And I think acting for me has been something that's like so far away, or it's kind of untouchable to be to get to a level or a role that you like really want. But I think coming here, it kind of just like brings it back down to reality and be like, no, this is an opportunity. It's based off hard work, a lot of luck, and opportunities at the right moments, and it's like, okay, cool. Like, it feels like, yes, this just might not be something that happens for you, but also it could be like, okay, yeah, but I know I did everything right to at least try to set myself up
and
for
I think it depends on what your goal is and what your like why behind pursuing acting is, because like I mentioned earlier, I have no interest in becoming famous. Like, if I eventually get the opportunity to do some like recognizable TV show or movie or something, I'm not going to turn it down out of like fear of becoming famous.
Out of famous people, is there someone that you like look at and you're like, this person, like, it would be like my version of like a successful actor? Like, is there an actor that you're like, they're doing like what I would want to have done or do?
Oh, like career wise?
Yeah.
The first person that comes to mind is Florence Pugh.
Okay. Oh, okay.
I feel like she had
so very noticeable. No,
but in terms of like, if I were to become like A-list celebrity level famous, I would want to have a career like hers, because she's gotten to do like cool Marvel big budget stuff, but then also more like A24 independent type stuff. But really, when I think of my future as an actor, I just think of like, I'm still a theater girl at heart, and I have gotten more into film and TV as I've been here, and it certainly pays better, so I hope I do get those opportunities. But when I think of like what success in theater or in acting would mean to me, it's just doing shows back in my like community and getting paid for it. Like, I'm not talking, I'm fine with just doing community theater. But like, I lived in the DC area before coming down here for this program, and I'm from Richmond, and there's a ton of theater going on in both of those communities. And I'm married, I want a family, so it's that work-life balance too of if we do go back to Richmond and settle down and, have some kids, my definition of success in acting would be doing a show at Virginia Rep or Firehouse Theater or some of those local professional theaters in Richmond, and creating and finding a community of people and doing my own work. I mean, I would love to have my own theater company one day. But
let me know when you do that.
Will do. That's how I envision success for me in this career, is just balancing, like having the life I want to have and creating. And, that's easier said than done. Like, some people, I'm in the privileged position to be married to someone who has a non-artistic career. And so there is a lot of stability in that versus, being a starving artist and not having the luxury of doing
starving together. No.
Right. Right. But theater does not pay as well as film. And so it's like, well, would I rather be artistically fulfilled and do this play that's going to pay me $200 for a 3-month commitment, or go do this commercial that I absolutely does not feed my artistic soul, but pays $20,000.
What are your thoughts on? Okay, so like I know like one thing I talk about is like when you're in a career like this, there's choices you have to make. Like there's things that you're not willing to give up or sacrifice, right? And in doing that, that might take away opportunities or not. But the one that I've been sitting with a lot recently is like, what if I got like I've been someone that's been not outspoken, but just like to like friends and family, been like, like I feel like as a country we shouldn't be advertising pharmaceutical products. Like, I just feel like that doesn't benefit our country. Like, if you need that and you go to a doctor, they're going to prescribe it to you. We don't.
Right.
You know, like, I feel like a lot of people end up on medication that maybe they didn't need.
Because they, like, saw a commercial and they
go
like,
this is going to fix me. Or it just causes another issue. But, like, it's us in Australia or, like, the two countries that allow it. No one else does.
Right.
And so then that means that everything is owned by pharmaceutical. You know, like, when you look at all that. And so I'm in the boat of like, why do we have this? Like, I get that that's what keeps these, you know, big networks alive is the ad revenue from that, and the ad spots. So it's like, well, what if a pharmaceutical company came up to you and like, hey, we'd really love for you to be this
right.
You know, it's like, or this commercial, this great opportunity comes up, and it's like one of those things where it's like, oh, it's like I never thought about that. Like, would I do that? You know, because it kind of goes against what I've been thinking or feeling my whole life, because now I'm technically selling the product to someone that might not need that product, you know, and so then maybe be looking at what type of product that is, too, and whatnot.
I think values are really important, and I think that having a clear picture of what your values are and having like that, so that you can weigh that like cost versus effect kind of thing, and at the end of the day, if it's against your values and you don't want to do it, some people are probably going to be like, I can't believe you turned down that opportunity, but it's more important for you to be able to sit with yourself.
Are there things like that you think hold you back in values that you hold, or do you feel like you haven't run into that?
I think the only way I've really run into it recently is just that I value my time with my loved ones and my time in my education. Like, there have been projects that I could have submitted for while here at SCAD that would have meant, you know, missing weeks of classes or having to, you know, pause my studies and stuff. And to me, like, I'm in this season to get this degree and complete this thing. So like, that's what I'm focused on right now. And sometimes it's like, well, dang, I missed out on that opportunity. But at the end of the day, that was where my heart was. It's like, I don't want to pull myself away from what I've committed to do in my education right now. And then same with like, right out of undergrad, I got cast with the Folger Shakespeare Theater in DC as an understudy for their production of Midsummer Night's Dream.
Okay.
So I was going to graduate. I was going to move to DC. I had my first show lined up, contract signed. I was feeling good.
Yep.
I graduated in May of 2020.
Yep.
So obviously that show didn't happen. And when it came back around July of 2022, they reached out and they were like, hey, we saw that you were slated to do this show in 2020. Are you still available? My cousin was getting married in Ireland, right smack dab in the middle of the production. And I was like, I've committed to go to this life event and to go on this trip with my dad. And to me, it just wasn't worth giving up that commitment that I had made to do that. And it was so unfortunate. It felt like a loss at the time, but I just have to believe that like God has something good in store for me in the future. And I hope to work with the Folger in the future. That's one of the theaters in DC that's so like,
if you're watching this,
Folger, if you're watching this, cast me again, please. But yeah, like stuff like that where, you know, I have to believe that making the decision that felt right and aligned with my priorities and values at the time will be okay. And I don't think there's ever like any one opportunity. You know, I think people talk about their like breakout role or their like prime like break or whatever. But I really think that the roles that are meant for you come to you, and I think that
that's real.
The plan that God has laid out for my life will happen the way it's meant to. So yeah.
Yeah, no, so I got to add pharmaceutical commercials to my list. No. No, Mike, is there anything like that you feel like you've sacrificed for like values that you hold, or have you not run into that really?
I don't think I've run into that too
Nice.
much, to be honest. I'm trying to think deep back. I mean, for me, whenever there was an opportunity for it, that was just my focus. I'm just like, I will skip work. I will leave.
I will cut off my pinky. No. You need the guy with 4 fingers? I'm there. No.
I mean, if it was something like somebody getting married, if I knew someone getting married, or something that mattered to someone, I would definitely put them before myself. But I haven't come into a situation like that.
No, fair enough. I mean, for me, A1's, all of the companies that then reached out, their season started like June 1st or whatever. And my sister's getting married this June.
Oh, congratulations.
So I'm like,
I got a friend back home getting married in June. So
yeah. So for me, I was like, well, I would, like, there's no way that I'm missing my sister's wedding. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, cousin, for me, and like how my family has been, it's like, that's different, because there was moments where we weren't close to extended family for long periods of time, you know? And so, like, I was like, I'm not missing it. Like, there's no, so it was like, okay, let's figure out what our plan is for the summer work-wise. And then I think this is just like another one of those summers where you just work to work. And then next summer is like, hey, we're graduating.
Right.
Balls to the walls.
Book it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I'm all for, like, still submitting yourself for the opportunity. Like, if you got a show, that's why understudies exist. Like, if the understudy needed to take over that weekend, the problem for the Folger was that I was the understudy, and you don't get to be gone when you're the understudy.
Yeah. No, actually, I was just talking to someone. They were saying that one of the shows on Broadway right now, something happened where their lead was gone. Like, they had taken that chunk off for vacation.
Yeah.
Then the other study was called up to be a swing for another show on Broadway. And then the other understudy for this role was just like sick and couldn't come in. So they didn't have anyone for this role. And so they were like, had someone come in that probably didn't fit that type of character. And anyway, but they ran the show. So I don't know how it went. But I heard that from someone. I was like, but I'm like, dang, I'm like, that's kind of crazy to think that, like, that, okay, honestly, that kind of scares me. Like, I don't know. I love living in, like, the intenseness of that's why I love live stuff.
Yeah.
Because anything could happen.
Yeah.
You know?
It's a rush.
But I have, like, the fear of, like, hey, you're going out for this role. Like, especially if you, like, have no experience. And you're, like, all of a sudden, you're at the highest level doing it. And I'm like, that, I think, would get me. I'm like, oh, shit.
Well, understudies, like, if you, especially at the Broadway level, if you're a good understudy, you're never going to be cast as a principal because you are way too valuable as an understudy, because that job is hard. You hardly get any rehearsal.
Well, like, in the swing especially, too, because,
you don't, like, you just are expected to figure it all out on your own, and then when something inevitably happens, you're just thrust in, and that is... Yeah,
but then part of me is like, I also, like, if the vibe of the show is very much of, like, we know that we are throwing you into the fire, which I think is very, I don't see a world where that is the case. I think
culturally that's happening more, though, where people are saying, like, I'm doing this other project, you know, so I'm taking off this one weekend. I think Jeremy Jordan's a great example of that. You know, he'll be doing Gatsby on Broadway, but he's still doing his band's tour a couple weeks out of the year or whatever, and so his understudy knows ahead of time, okay, Jeremy's gone these show days, I'm gonna get to go on. So I think that we're shifting away from the, like, if I let my understudy go on ever, they're gonna replace me, and so I can't like, even when I'm sick, I need to still show up kind of thing, which I think is good.
Healthier.
But,
for the actors. No, I was going to say, I don't know. So obviously you're thinking like stage film. Which one do you like more? At least for me, like I've done so much more stage.
Same.
But I've never done, again, very rare that this would happen. Like you have to be strike it gold, you know. But it's like if you got on a Broadway show to have, is it 8 shows, 7 shows a week?
8 shows a week, yeah.
And Monday off, and it's like, and that's every week. There is
I know.
no.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. There is no.
I turned that off.
No, there is no like break time in the sense of like, I don't know. I'm like, is that the quality of life that I would want? Because like, what if something comes up? I feel like I'd want that opportunity to go do it, you know? And
yeah, I mean,
it's interesting.
I feel like the TV equivalent of that is like being on a long running show, right? But at least those have like a shoot schedule, and you have some sort of
6 months
break.
out of the year or something like that, you know, and then that gives you either a bunch of time to relax or do something, or go do a movie or you know. And so I feel like that's where work wise and lifestyle wise, even though I love live and I love stage, like always my first love, you know. But like I think that's why like when I look at like how I wanted my life to be, it leans more towards film and television just in the way. So then that's why it's like, okay, you got to get better at it if you want to do that.
But I mean, there is always, like, you can always leave a show. Like, if you do get that opportunity on Broadway and you're doing 8 shows a week and you do it for a season and then you're like, okay, I feel good about this.
Exactly.
It's time to go do something else.
This is me talking about I'm going to be on Broadway. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
hey, it's good to have goals.
No, I think that's so funny. But yeah, no, it's just like, I don't know. It'd be interesting because I want to have a family, but I also want to be present there,
right?
And not feel stressed. But also, I feel like if you're at that level, you're very comfortable. Like, and that's the thing you got to realize too is like, if you're at that level, you're there for a reason, and then you're doing a show that's like you know it by the back of your hand,
right?
Like, there is
if you're doing it that much.
So it really is like I'm only giving up 3 hours or
but you know that's
time.
You're missing bedtime every night.
Exactly.
Like that definitely is a sacrifice. And I think that I would love to talk to someone who is doing that and has a family and hear what that's like for them, because that is the only thing that when you're doing it at a smaller scale, like regional shows tend to only run for 6 weeks at a time. And I think
that's like, maybe I would lean towards something like that more, which just means you have to audition more because your show's only lasting so long, right? So it's just like unsteady work. But I feel like that for me would be fun because you do it for a big chunk of time, and then right when you're about to get bored, you're moving on to the next thing, you know, and adding to the resume. But yeah, I don't know. Like,
but that was the biggest thing that I think that has helped me shift my mindset on this industry was being told that doing the job is not the actor's job. Auditioning is the job. Because I used to hate auditioning, and I don't hate it as much anymore. I still prefer the actual process of doing the thing more. But yeah, shifting your mentality to realize that auditioning and trying to get the job is actually our job as actors. Yeah. And then when we get one and we get to do it, that's like the cherry on top.
Yeah. I can kind of agree with you. I used to hate auditioning, and now it's just me, I think, realizing more of instead of like I understand that that's part of the job. Is to do that. So you got to get better, whatever that is. And so I think for me, that's like my mission right now is to get more comfortable getting sides or something within like 2 days notice. And it's like, okay, how do you memorize this? And make a character that you probably won't ever get to be.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like,
you're going to love auditioning class next year. I just finished auditioning class with Joan McMurtry. Fantastic class. But you literally, like, every class you have a self-tape due. And it makes you practice and get more comfortable with it.
Sometimes I look at like our class structure and I'm like, damn, I wish we could have had that class sooner.
Yes.
Because there's opportunities. So it's like auditioning. I wish maybe this winter quarter would have been it. Because I don't know if that one's one that you want to introduce to your students right away.
Maybe not.
Because you got to build that trust and bond within the school. But like winter quarter.
But I agree. That should be in first year. And then comedy should be earlier too. Professor Ashanti Brown will die on that hill that you need to learn comedy earlier because comedy helps you in every aspect, and we're literally taking that last quarter of the whole program.
Yeah.
So
what was the other class that I was Like, I wish that we just, like branding yourself. Because I think that's the second year, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like,
that was this quarter.
Yeah. And it's just like, I feel like we should learn how to brand ourselves so that we can use what we're learning in branding for SCAD, right? But then also, we're so used to branding ourselves that by the time we go out, it's very, like the back of your hand. I know what I need to say. I know what fits me, what all that is. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I feel like it kind of sucks because like I don't get that class, right?
Yeah, I will say, Professor Andrea Frankel is who I had for branding this quarter, and she just told us that she's actually trying to like petition to have the name of the class changed to the business of acting.
Okay.
Because she feels like she actually like wants it to steer away from branding in the sense of like, you are this one thing and just figure out what this one thing is and then only do that. Yeah. Because that's kind of not where the industry is anymore. And so, yes, it's important to know what kind of roles you can play. But in terms of what we actually did in the class, it was a lot more like, make sure your headshot and resume look professional, make sure your website looks good, and very much like business stuff.
I feel like that would still be beneficial for...
Still beneficial, but like you need the time to get the footage. Like you need to take.
True. Yeah, I see.
We did building the actor's reel before branding, and I think that was helpful.
Yeah, never mind. That makes sense.
So that's just my opinion. Is that it's more of a class that sets you up for going out into the real world. Yeah. But I didn't think about how you could use that at SCAD because that is true as well.
Just I look at my resume. I need to like. I like my resume, but it does feel like there's a lot of blank space, but I don't know how to do that without blowing it up and starting over. And so I have to go through my resume at some point and be like, yes, no. I feel like there's just a lot of dead space in there. And it looks good, and it looks unique compared to others, which I think is like a good thing.
Yeah.
But I was able to go in and talk to Mikey and do that. And I finally got new headshots. And she said they worked, and I was like, "Let's go!"
Nice,
because it was at A1's, they had free headshots, and I was like,
"Oh, cool!
Might as well use them," you know. And I got lucky and was able to sign up. But then, you never know if like you can actually use them,
right?
Know, so.
Yeah, I just got new headshots, and I need to pop in on Mikey and make her tell me which ones to use. Because the problem is when you have such a good headshot session that now I have like 6 that I really like. And you only need 2, so I'm trying to narrow it down.
Costs like $600. No.
Well, I don't know if I should reveal this secret, but we got someone from something to come in and do it for a cheaper price. That's all I'll say.
That's part of that thing though. Like be there at the right time.
Right.
You know.
Take advantage of any opportunity that is presented to you.
It's interesting because there was a couple opportunities, going back to that original thought of like things happen for a reason. There was stuff earlier on here at SCAD that were like presented to me, and I was like, I don't think that's for me.
Oh yeah.
But like looking back, it's like I think that was the right choice because that allowed you to be open for these opportunities that are like something that you would really want. And I feel like Jordan would be very sad if he couldn't do A and B because he decided to do C,
Yeah.
And so.
But I mean, that's the reality of not just our business, but life in general. It's like if you choose one thing, it means you're missing out on something else. And that's just something that I think as you grow as a person, you become more okay with.
I forget what the name of it is, but it's in deciding like a big life decision, right? And it's like if you feel confident or just like things are happy, like for me to get to SCAD, there was a lot of things that just happened because I wasn't 100% sold on if I wanted to, but things kept happening where it's like I'm being told to come here, someone or something's telling me to come here, right?
Yeah.
And how that's when you want to make that decision. Like when you are very confident you've done all it, but then what happens is a lot of time people find themselves in the other side and like maybe they haven't thought about it, but it just seems like that golden shiny object they want to grab,
Right.
And then they do it, but they didn't go through that whole process of deciding and all the things that you should have thought about but didn't think about because it didn't come up at first,
Yeah.
And like how life kind of is like that at times.
I mean, I'm a big pro-con list girly.
Yeah.
I'm that personality type. So I made spreadsheets of like my different options for grad school.
Are you like a really good planner?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not. Like I am going home like tomorrow I've not packed. I haven't thought about what I'm bringing yet. I'm like, we're just gonna go and send it. So, but.
No, I'm like a type A planner kind of person, but I'm also someone who is like okay with going with the flow.
Yeah,
you know,
that's important.
Yeah,
yep.
like Kate texted me one day during break and was like, "Hey, you want to go to Charleston tomorrow?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." No plan. We just went to Charleston. Like,
what did you do
I'm cool with that too. We shopped. Shopped and we ate. That was basically it.
Okay, all right. How far away is that?
It's only like an hour and a half.
I always think it's farther.
I was 2 hours.
2 hours.
I always think it's like 2.5.
We live out not quite to Pooler, but like it's closer. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. No, I'm very good at going with the flow. And like that's the one thing that's tough with this show, and I'll always say it is like there's so many moving parts to it that like it's very much like 2 days notice if you're lucky to be like, hey, are you available? And then the person has to be is like yes or no, and it's like,
well, that's
cool.
why it's taken this long for me to get on here, because you asked me twice before this.
I think I asked you like it had to been at the end of last quarter.
Well, the first time you asked me was Film Fest, like right after Film Fest.
Yeah, so would that have been like week 8 or something like that of last quarter? Yep. And again, I think it was short notice because I was like, I don't know. And also like I feel like we didn't know. Well, you know what helped was that we worked out at the same time.
Right, so we saw each other more
often. And so then, but then it was just like, oh, I can't, ask me next quarter. And I was like, okay, sounds good. And then I didn't start filming until later. And that's when your thesis went in full swing. So you're like, I can't. And I'm like, I totally get that, you know. And then you're like, don't message me until next quarter. So I wasn't supposed to message you until spring. But then I was like, something happened or something came up or it got brought up. And then I was like, well, are you available for the podcast? I don't know what it was. And you were like, yeah, I am, because it was after the show and whatnot. And so I'm glad we finally are here doing it.
Yeah, me too.
But, yeah, no. I think it's so funny. We still have to have this. There's a conversation we still have to have at some point, and at some point we will have it. But I don't feel like it's a conversation for the cameras, unfortunately. But you guys will have to live. There's going to be a legendary conversation at some point.
You're missing out.
Yeah, and you're going to leave this being like, dang, I'm missing out.
Just ask for a follow-up. If you want to see me back, you want the like behind the scenes.
You have to follow first. We're growing our communities. No. But are there any projects coming up that you are like super excited for?
Yeah, so next quarter I'm doing Love and Information, the Performance Lab.
What's that about?
So it is a play by Carol Churchill that is a series of like probably 20 to 50 short scenes.
Oh, wow.
And they very much feel like blank scenes. Like there's a title that kind of gives you a clue into the background, but there's really not many given circumstances. And so there's a lot of fun to be had with figuring out the context of the scene. So I'm really, really excited for that. And awesome. I love Carol Churchill. I did Top Girls in undergrad, and she's just such a fantastic playwright. She's so smart. So I'm really excited for that. Yeah.
Sweet. Cool. Okay, actually, one thing before we go. I'm curious, and maybe he didn't do it with you guys because you guys did something different, but in Prosky, did he have you at the end of the quarter, you guys like all audition for something, and then you voted for who you liked the most out of the class?
No.
It was the most brutal thing ever. And like it's one of those where it's like, that's fair, because that's
Did you guys work with a directing class at all?
No.
Okay, so that's what we did at the end of our quarter. Is there was a directing class, like directing the actors class, and we partnered with them, and we did like 4 classes where they directed us and shot a scene.
Okay, yeah, because we ran out of time for scenes. So he was like, I'm just gonna have you do that thing, which I talked about earlier in the episode.
Okay, so you all did the same
audition.
So
we all did the same audition, and then it was like, okay. And this was like, we had no idea this was going to happen. He's like, all right, now we're going to do like the real industry. Who gets it? And so he went up to the whiteboard, wrote Josh and Emma, the 2 characters, and was like,
we did that.
Oh, and then it was like, write down on your piece of paper, like your number 1 choice for this person, number 2, and number 1 and number 2. And then we tallied them with names. It was brutal.
Well, who got cast?
Well, and then he was like, okay, basically what happened was like these people, I'm not going to say names, but like these people like got are going to get called back. This one would get called back. And then, like, these two probably would. And then this one would probably would. And then he's like, now we're going to...
Based on him or based on the votes?
Based on the votes. And then he's like, these would be the people that get called back. And then you do, you know, chemistry reads and all that kind of stuff. And then go on from there or whatever. But it was, like, one of those things where it's like, that's fair. I think it was tough because it's, like, the people that you are technically... You're
friends with everyone. It's harder.
You're friends and you're already competing in everything. That, like, the last thing you want to do is, like, in class, your safe zone.
Yeah.
To be competing once again. You know. But I thought it was very interesting. Also, like, I feel like it gave me a look into how casting is done. You know, at all the levels. And so I was like, oh, okay, that's good to know. You know.
Yeah. Well, that's another fun thing that Joan does in the auditioning class. She shows us... you do an audition, and then she actually has the auditions from that show, and then you vote on who you think got the role. And so that was really cool. But also she'll just make comments like, oh, congratulations, you look like the casting director's brother, so you got a call back.
Damn.
And just like things like that that are such a like throwaway just joke for her, but it's true, and it does make you think about like, dang, what does happen in that room?
I was looking at, I don't know, for something, but my mom brought, or I don't know, someone brought it up as something like, you honestly might look like their ex when they were in high school.
So
and they just they'll never talk to you again. You know, whatever it is, and it's like, nah, it's real. Like,
yeah, you can't.
I wouldn't want to talk to a lookalike of one of my exes. No, I'm just kidding.
Name names.
No, yeah, names, but. Oh, that's so good. Well, Liv, thank you so much for coming on the show. We could take camera 2. If you made it this far into the episode, consider dropping a like, subscribe to the channel, all the good stuff. And, we'll see you hopefully next week. There's a big snowstorm coming to Wisconsin, so I'm hoping I make it there alive.
I'm hoping you make it back.
I should be fine, because I'll be there for a week. So, like, it'll be cleared by then. But at the original stuff, like literally, okay, sorry, we're going a little to another conversation. But literally, it's like, it's supposed to be like one of the biggest snowstorms we've had in like forever, like on 100 years. So that's why like people are like kind of freaking out. But yeah, so YOLO.
Well, safe travels.
Yeah, thank you. And you're hanging around here for St. Patty's Day kind of vibes, so I can't wait to hear how that goes. I posted a video and someone's like, they commented like, I'm literally here. Like I'm here for the Savannah St. Patty's. I was like, all right, you'll have to let me know how that one goes.
You and a million other people.
But all right, thanks everyone for watching and sticking around, and we will see you next week. Peace.
Thank you.